Bags down, spikes on. Welcome to the track. I'm your host, Colin Weitzman, and I'm going to be I'm Colin Weitzman. I'm your host of Track World News. This episode, we have a very, very special guest joining us, a PA native as well. So very excited for this one. Two-time NCAA champion, USA champion, Talitha Diggs. Talitha, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. As track athletes, we're going to be running tons of miles every week and can be really sweaty and gross after a hard day of practice, but those days are behind us. Manscaped just sent me their brand new performance package, which comes with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. Look, I've tried a lot of razors in my day, but the Lawnmower 4.0 is just different. Its ceramic blade helps reduce grooming accidents, LED light allows you to shave anytime, anywhere, and since it's waterproof, you can even take it in the shower if you want. When shopping with Manscaped, use code TWN at checkout to get 20% off your entire order, plus free shipping worldwide. Show up to your next meet looking good. If you want to be the best, you gotta look the best. Link is in the description, and now back to the video.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I didn't know you were from PA.
Oh yeah. So I'm right outside of Philly. So I was District 1. So I think I didn't compete against your school too much, maybe at like states, but yeah, because you're near Bethlehem, right?
Yeah, I'm District 11. Where in what city?
Yeah, so I was like Wallingford, Swarthmore. So I was at Strathaven. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Even.
Yeah, so we have like right now some of our bigger number, like Grace Forbes. She's at Rice. She's like a 10K runner. She came in second at NCAAs, and then Allie Wilson is another big one. She's an 800-meter runner. You know, so those are like our clan. And Wellington Zaza too. He's a hurdler. I don't know if you went to our school.
Yeah, I know him too. Yeah, no, you guys had a really good 4x8 during my years.
Yeah. So the women's team has always been much better than our men's. We were good a little while ago. Not so much now, but yeah. So, Talitha, you had an amazing year coming off of this season. 2 national championships, USA championship. Looking at the 3. If you had to rank them from favorite to, I know there's no least favorite, but 1 to 3, which 3 were the best for you?
I'd say NC Outdoors is number 1, and then USA's, and then NC Indoors.
Ooh, why that order in particular? Any reason, insight on that?
I mean, I love them all, of course. I just think NCAA Outdoors, like I ran 49, like I just broke a barrier. And then it was really important for my team title implication. So it's just like me winning really helped my team, of course. And so that was really important to me. And then also like, I just, I'd gotten second my freshman year. So I just wanted to go out there and prove like I could win it. And, school record. So it's just like a lot of stuff going on. And then I'd say USA's was a close second because it's, again, like a phenomenal moment. The only reason USA's is second is just because like the team title was like an added part of my like NCAA Outdoors. So that was important. And then NCAA Indoors was great too. Like I won and team title again, of course, but it was just like, I was in the first heat. Like it just wasn't as like, nitty gritty, I feel like, as the outdoors.
Yeah, I was going to say that like for indoors, it's weird because you have the 2 heats, unless you're in the 60, I guess, or whatever. And so was it different where it's like, because you win from the first heat and so you're just waiting on time? It's not like you're on the track and you win when you're first. That has to be a weird feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a weird feeling. Like, especially I was waiting to see if I'd won, and kind of just watching the second heat unfold was like a little bit nerve-wracking. So that was like kind of a crazy moment for me. But yeah, being in the race and also it's just like I wasn't able to compete against like those people. So it just feels a little bit different, like, because it's outdoors, like I ran against everyone and then I was the NCAA champion. Like indoors, it's like I still did win, but like it was kind of split.
Yeah, know what you mean. And well, being able to bring home the team titles for both indoor and outdoor had to be an amazing feeling. But before we get into that, so my favorite moment, so obviously you were running, so you didn't see this, but I picked you to win the outdoors, and many of my friends and other people, oh yeah, from the beginning. Oh yeah, I picked you to win, and many of my friends are like, no, you're not gonna win, because at the time your outdoor time, like you weren't as ranked highly going into outdoors. And so I was watching with a bunch of people, and as I'm seeing you come around the bend, I'm just yelling, PA, don't play. Let's go, Talitha, let's go. And so you won. And so selfishly, I was glad you did well as well. So I wanted to let you know that story. If that video anywhere got saved and you see it, that's what was going on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No problem. And so we've spoken to a few other, Florida athletes here, Fambale, Anna Hall, Jasmine Moore. I guess we're just on our Florida trip. And they've all mentioned how the team title was really some of the most exciting parts, of it for them. Could you kind of, bring us into, what that was like indoors, when you guys are able to bring home that first title for the team?
Yeah. I mean, indoors, it's just like, it was really a dream. It's just like, okay, we got this team together. Like, we've been ranked #1 all year. Like, we just wanted to go out there and execute. And I mean, the cards just unfolded and just laid out perfectly. And I felt like we just capitalized. I was Anna had won a title the day before. But like the next day, the second day, where it's like, okay, now we're really getting down to it. It was like, I won, and then Grace won, and then Jasmine won. Like, it just kept unfolding. We're like, okay, we just did it. So I feel like the first indoor title was just phenomenal. And then also it was the first one that Florida had in 30 years. So it was like, wow, like it's history. Like the announcer said, he was like, and for the first time in 30 years. And then like, I just started crying. I was like, whoa, like for history. And then, so yeah, like just carrying that momentum into outdoors was just like, obviously really important. And again, to do it again outdoors and get the first title for the University of Florida, woman and our boys got the title. Like, it was literally just like, it's a dream.
Yeah. I was wondering, was there any trash talk in between your title and the men's that y'all were doing? I feel there's got to be some stuff going on at practice.
For sure. Like I do talk like a good bit of trash, if I'm being honest. I was like, even when they won, like I'll tell you, but like I was talking trash the whole season. I was like, you boys, like you guys aren't gonna win anything. Like, we're out here outdoing you. Like, you guys need Grant. Like, I would say stuff like that. Like, you guys can't win without Grant, mess around. And then after SECs, when they didn't do particularly well, I really was letting them have like, dang, you guys are da-da-da. And then outdoors, when they just won it, and like I knew that like they are a phenomenal team, and they've got some phenomenal people on that team. Like you just said, Joe, Ryan, Ja'Cory, Champ, like they've just got a squad. And so I knew they had a really good chance of winning it. And then when they did, I was like, oh, I'm proud of them. And then on the way home on the plane, they were all celebrating and happy that, they'd won, of course. And I was like, act like you guys have won something before. Oh, wait. And then everyone was like, she's still not giving it to us. Like, she's still talking trash. But yeah, I mean, I was so proud of them. They're phenomenal, and they totally deserved it. So it was great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's like that practice atmosphere gotta be like? I mean, you have on the men's side, the women's side, everywhere, just extraordinarily competitive. I'm sure, obviously both teams competing at a very high level. Like, your coach being one of the most historic coaches in track history. I mean, are you guys serious at practice? Is it light and hard? Like, what's the vibe like when the lights are off?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as serious at all. Honestly, like we have like a lot of fun. I was just telling like practice is like my favorite time of the day. We have so much fun. We're laughing. We're joking. It's just lighthearted. Of course, when it's time to run and get serious, like we know when to get serious. But it's about enjoying the process. So we love being out there and cracking jokes, just kind of having just a good time. So it is very competitive, of course. When you've got Joe on the track with Dedrick, like. The first meet of indoors, Coach Holloway pulls the girls aside and he's like, you guys are going to have to be okay with being #2 in the country and #2 on your team at some point. Like, you can be the best girl in the country, like top 5 girl in the country, and you're #2 on your team. So when you're competing with people like that, I mean, of course it's going to get heated a little bit, like in the sense of like competitiveness, but it's all friendly, and we all want each other to get better, and we really do push each other on the track. And so it's a great environment.
Oh yeah. It's just thinking on just how crazy that has to be. It's like, man, it's like I'm the 5th fastest person in the nation, but I'm not on our dang 4x1 or whatever it is, like stuff like that.
Yes, no, exactly.
Yeah, it's like you gotta be able to check the ego at the door and be able to like, okay, there's a bigger picture here. You came here for a reason. You knew it was going to be competitive. So that's what's gonna have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I was wondering, talking about the coaching style and going back to your races, I went back and looked at your national titles and the USA titles, and you had, I don't know if it's what coach does or if it's just you and Joe, but both of you guys love just turning it up at the end and catching people. It's like y'all hate front running or something. It's just the kick at the end. Do you like making it interesting, or like how's that go? Where you're in 3rd place for the first like 3/4 of the race, and it's like, all right, let's turn it on. It's like you and Joe both love doing that, just probably giving coaches a heart attack. Like, is that in the plans? What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't exactly say that's exactly part of my strategy, but like just the way I run the race, it's just, whatever your race plan is, I always say stick to it 100%. So, I go out and, I maintain, and, as I build through the turn, if I'm in 3rd, if I'm in 1st at that point, then, it switches up. But it happened to NCs and USAs. I just was in 3rd, and then I just picked up and finished strong. I'm one of the best finishers in the world. So I just want to, of course, play to my strengths. And so I know I was going to finish. So, yeah.
Yeah. And is that something that, you're nervous about? Like when you see, okay, there's 50 meters left and, it's, I might be, I see someone's, back of their jersey right here. Are you nervous at all? Or are you confident? Like you're able to make that ground up?
Yeah, no, I'm not nervous. I'm always like, I'm a very like, you ask my teammates, like I don't panic, calm, collected in terms of racing and race strategy. So there's never a point in the race where I'm like, oh no, I have to do this, or oh no, this didn't go my way, or you got to roll with the punches. That's part of, like I said, being an athlete. Like not everything is going to go the way that you thought it was going to go, but you have to be ready for when it doesn't. So so I'm comfortable. I'm not like, I don't panic. I just focus on my technique and finish the best way I know how.
Yeah, and I know in a few interviews, and they were talking about it a lot on ESPN and other broadcasts, that it's like you feel comfortable, being up front and having the target on your back. Is that something that having such an athletic background with your other members of your family, where it's like, hey, they had that for their same thing? Was that kind of instilled through them, or is it just always kind of been just you there?
Yeah, no, I think it is instilled through them in a way, in that like, typically because everyone knows who my family is, or like growing up, I was always like, oh, Talitha, she's the standard. Like that's the standard of like achievement, I guess. So like, they're like, oh, like Talitha's family's this and there. So it's like, I want that, or I want to beat that. Like just typically I always had that target on my back. And so I just learned to embrace it, and I learned to love it. Honestly, it's just such an honor to be in my family, and I love the greatness that they have and have instilled in me. But also, of course, it added pressure. So you had to get used to that pressure and just accept it. Like I can't change it. I can't control who my family is, and I wouldn't want to change it, but I can't change or control any of that. So you just got to figure it out and roll with it.
And so, yeah, you mentioned that you're very confident in your running abilities. Curious, is there anything that you're not very confident in? Like whether it's like, I don't like cooking or any tasks you're like, oh man, if I can avoid that, I'll do it at all costs.
What is something that I avoid? I don't know. There's a lot of things I'm not good at. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a whole lot of things I'm not good at. I say that I'm really, really, really good at basketball, but I'm not. Like there's certain things some other sports are just like, I'm not super good. Like I'm solid, but I like hype myself up. Like at practice, that's something like we'll talk trash about, like basketball. Like I don't need to be talking trash about that. And then I'd say I'm a pretty good driver, but sometimes a little questionable.
Maybe avoid the parallel parking if possible.
Yeah, maybe avoid the parallel parking. Stuff like that.
All right, there you go. So if it's on the track, doing good. If it's hey, we got a tight spot here, we got dinner. It's like, all right, maybe avoid that. All right.
Yep. I'm not sure about that.
We got it. We figured it out. And so we got a few fan questions. Wanted to get into some of those. So we'll start off with a little light one here. So this comes from Percy Green, fitting name. What is your favorite color?
I love dark purple, like a very deep royal purple. And I don't know, I just always loved that color. Like it just always spoke to me and I thought it was really pretty.
Did you ever switch it up? I remember when I was a kid, so mine's red. I had a purple phase myself. Did you ever switch it up or has it just always been purple?
No, I did have a pink phase. I still love pink very much. I had a pink phase. I thought I was like going through, like, I thought I was like, I had a black phase. Like, I thought I was like some like stoic, like, I don't know. I thought it was cool or something. Like, oh, I like black. Like, I don't know why that was a thing. But yeah, I would like, I wanted to like paint my nails black and like, ugh, I don't know what that was about, but I liked black.
Will we ever see, do you ever do purple for the nails on race day or not so much?
I'm always I always have red. I don't know. I also like red too. I think red's just a powerful color. And I think when people see red, it's just like usually a warning or like something negative. So I kind of like to take the power out of that. Like, no, like red's like a powerful and like cool color. And it could be a lighthearted color if you want to make it that. So yeah, I always wear red on meets.
Boom. There you go. Somebody finally see, I say the same thing and people think I'm crazy for it. Thank you. I couldn't have said it better. So all my friends that think I'm crazy. No, there you go. You said it perfectly. Thank you. Next one we got, it's this is Matthew Karam says, what is the hardest workout that you've done?
The hardest workout that I've done. I've gotten this question recently a couple times and I literally, like, every time I feel like I either change it or I just forget. I'd say probably something in the fall, 90-second runs, but not even. Okay, yeah, I'll say 90-second runs, which is like we do that on grass. It's just like you run 90 seconds fast and not like all out, of course, but like you're running and you get tired in 90 seconds. You run pretty fast and then you do like circuit drills in between. So whether it's jump rope, different drills. And so you don't really have rest. Your rest is the circuit drills. And then you do a couple sets of that.
Ooh, yeah. I just thinking about circuits got my heartbeat. I hated those. Like, oh man, yeah. Remember doing those like down the soccer fields. It'd be like, all right, go from cone to cone. I got the stopwatch. I'll tell you when to stop. It's like, man, don't miss that at all.
Yeah.
Next, this is from, I think it was Marvin something, not Bracy, different Marvin. So asks about your grandfather, Joe Clark, with the movie Lean on Me. There wasn't a question. He just kind of said the name, but you got families also on the acting side of things. Had a big time movie and everything. Had you seen that? What's any story behind it?
Yeah, so my grandfather was a principal in like a school in New Jersey, and it was like kind of like a troublesome kind of school. And so he like restored it back to like academic prominence, and he was like really strict and he did a couple crazy things. So he got the nickname Crazy Joe. And so they start crazy as in just like he really wanted the kids to do really well. So like, he kicked out a bunch of kids that were like troublesome and committing crimes. And, he really just focused on academics. And so they created a movie called Lean on Me that was based on that story, and Morgan Freeman played in it. So yeah, that's my grandpa. And so that's, I think, part of the side, like academics is really important to me and my family. And so academics is really just like something that I always like just thought about growing up. And part of also the reason why I went to Florida, because also it's a great athletic institution, like also it's a great school. So so definitely my grandfather's values still live on with me today. And and my grandfather also had a farm like kind of close to the University of Florida, like maybe 10-15 minutes away. So that was something that like also drew me to Florida, because like, okay, I'll be around my grandpa a lot, and I'll be able to hang out and go to the family ranch.
Yeah, I mean, being able to see like, oh, Morgan Freeman is, playing my grandfather. That's a pretty cool story. One of the most famous actors. So it's got to be pretty fun. You said academics is pretty important to you. Have you decided on a major yet, or what's that look like for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm a double major in international studies and political science.
Woo! Oh God, that's tough. What's been your favorite and your least favorite class so far that you've had?
I'd say my favorite class has been, man, that's a hard one because I actually I love my classes. So I'd say one of them was like basically like a religion class, like history of like Asian religions, and like just like I just thought it was a cool like kind of international side of things. Another class I really enjoyed was international relations, which like kind of talks about like international law, like international policy, comparative politics, all that kind of stuff, like that nerdy stuff that I like. And then also I take like my region of specialization is Asia and China specifically. So I take Chinese and I really like that.
Oh, wow. So how are you balancing being a two-time national champion, things come in two-time national champion, double major, student athlete, doing all this stuff? Like how do you have time to do anything else, when you're trying to, balance all of these things at one time?
I don't know. I feel like I don't have that much free time, but yeah, I mean, it's really just time management. Like you plan out your days, and you go around that. You have your list of priorities. I have my list of priorities, and I handle my list of priorities first, and everything else goes from there. But one of my priorities is hanging out and having fun with my friends, and just like I like to read too, so like I make that a priority of mine. Like I have my priorities, and like I just stick to those. And so track, of course, school, God, my family, all those great things too. But you have time for what you want to make time for.
Exactly. Like if you want to do it, you'll figure out a way to do it. Like so just make sure it's a priority. And yeah. So it's not every day that someone is U.S. champion, two-time national champion, and still doesn't have the most accolades in sports in their family. It doesn't happen very often. Your mom, Joetta Clark Diggs, 5-time Olympian, I believe. And then, you have your aunt. You guys swept the Olympic trials at one point in the 800 so what's it like, having all of those, very, I guess, strong women in your life, women athletes in your life growing up in that type of household?
Yeah, of course, it's something that you strive for, and it keeps you also very humble. Like you just said, like I'm, not yet the greatest athlete in my family, like on achievements and accomplishments. Like, so, I mean, like even it just gets humbling. Like every time I do something, it's like, oh wait, like they've all done that. Like even at NC's indoors, I was like, yes, I won my first indoor title. And then like someone was like, oh, like I think that's your family's like 11th or 12th national title. I was like, oh wow. Like that's kind of crazy. And then like outdoors for USA's, I was like, yes, like my, first, senior title. And my uncle posts on Instagram, like Talitha just won the family's 21st title. I'm like, what? Like they're so great, but it's something I admire. I love them very much. I'm so proud of them. And so it just like kept me striving, like keeps me humble, but also like, I want to be great, and, I want to do great things just like they did. So yeah, it's something to strive for.
What were some like pieces of advice maybe that you've gotten, from those people as you're growing up in your athletic career? Because, I'm sure they've gone through a lot of the same things that you're going through now. Like any tips of like, hey, as you get better at this sport, this stuff's going to happen. So pay attention or anything like that.
Yeah. I'd say even just like my mom, she has tons of values and tons of sayings. So a couple of things she would always talk about, hard work and, life is tough. You have to be tough too, and just, staying focused and all those things. And same thing with my aunts. That was something that they talked about too. Just like, being tough, being resilient, having great work ethic. And same thing with my uncle, I'd say. And then one thing my dad told me that I think I would probably remember forever, he was like, and this has nothing to do with track, but he was just like, when you're a bad person, like bad people, they win a lot sometimes and they win big. And he was like, but when they lose big too. And he was like, but if you're a good person, you might not always win, but you'll never lose. And so that's something that stuck with me. And I'm like, I'm going to tell my kids that because I like that too. So yeah, I think they definitely taught a lot of great values to me and instilled a lot of great things in me too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's hey, you might get away with a few things. I'll let you know if you're bad, you might get away with a few things, but when it catches up to you, oh man, you're going to pay the price. So
you're going to pay for real.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. And well, so while your mom was a big time star, she did more of the 8 and the 15. I'm sure you've been asked a million times. Have you ever thought of that? What's the, were you ever going to try out an 800 in the future, or is that a no-go zone?
kind of like the 400 right now. Like I'm vibing with the 400 right now. I like the 4. But I mean, like maybe like later on in my career, you know, go up to the 8 and, you know, run that. But, you know, if it comes, I'll embrace it. I'll go for it. But for right now, it's like, I'm fast. So I want to use my speed while I have it. So yeah.
Yeah, I would rather do the 1 to the 8 as well. I was a pole vaulter, so I was like, even less running. Let me get 8 steps, and we'll call it a day. So I know what you mean. And so one thing that we saw a lot of people discussing recently was how the college track season's it's so long. It's going to be impossible for these college athletes to do well at USA's. You know, you got so much stuff going on, and you're racing from December until June, and now you got to, you know, extend that even more. Like, what was that ever? Did that play a factor in your mind at all, or what would you say to people saying, you know, the college track season's too long? You can't be, you know, well in these national championships.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say honestly, like those people probably aren't experts. Like I'm not even an expert either. Like Coach Holloway is. So if you have the right coach and, you know, you tell talk to your goals, talk to him about your goals, like he'll work around that and work for it. I mean, that's honestly like part of the reason why I didn't have that crazy like outdoor season that a lot of people thought that I was going to have. Like, oh, she didn't run super fast at SEC. She didn't run super fast this meet. Like Coach Holloway is preparing me for nationals and USA's and worlds. So he peaked me during that time. And that's something that, you know, experts do. Like, so that's something that Coach Holloway does. And so a lot of other college coaches do the same thing, where it's just like, they peak their athletes for when they need to be peaked and what their goals are. I told Coach Holloway, like, hey, I want to be on that world championship team. He said, all right, let's do it. And so that's kind of just how that went. And I mean, another thing is like also just look at how many collegiate athletes this year made it as opposed to last year. Like we had an extra week of break. Last year, it was the week after nationals we competed. And so like me as a freshman, I was tired. I wasn't prepared for that at that time. So, you know, I didn't make the team and I was tired. Like a lot of athletes that ran really well at nationals didn't do that hot at the Olympics. And then this year it's like so now we had 2 weeks in between nationals and USA team nationals or USA senior nationals. And, you know, a lot more people made it. Like you look at how many colleges, like there are probably like 10, maybe more collegiate athletes that made it and did really well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 22 placed in the top 3.
22?
Yeah, 22 in the top 3, and I believe 5 champions. So
that's crazy. That's a great. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Like that.
And the Florida women scored 39 points as well. So if you were to score it, you guys would have scored 39 points. So y'all cleaned up, did pretty well there. And so you mentioned like, hey, this was in the plan, like to be able to peak at nationals and at USA's. But still, as an athlete, you know, you're always like, I know this is the plan, but man, I want to be running fast. Was there ever times like, you know, where, you know, you may not have been seeing the times you knew you were capable of doing, where you were maybe frustrated with yourself or maybe second guessed, or was it always like, we're going to stick with this and this is what's going on?
No, I mean, I always like had confidence in the plan and, you know, trusted God's plan and God's journey for me. I knew, you know, Coach Holloway knew what he was doing too. And I knew that I trusted him. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just keep running and keep sticking through. And, you know, at the end of the day, like it's gonna work out. Like if it doesn't work out in the way that you thought it would, like it'll work out eventually. So, but like, yeah, I think of course you want to run fast. Like at SECs, like when I didn't do super hot, I was like, dang, this is kind of annoying. Like, you know, I wanted to run a little faster. At a couple earlier meets in the season, I was like, hey, this is kind of annoying too. Like I want to run faster here, but you know, and that's, we're talking with your coach and like they're having a relationship with him. It's just like, I ran that by coach, like, hey coach, like, you know, I trust you, I trust this, but you know, I want to run faster. And he's like, hey, look, like it's going to work out. We're good. And you know, that's all the assurance that I needed. And it went well. So.
Mm-hmm. And, at USA's, it was cool because we had the, you know, Allison Felix, this being her last USA championships, you know, you were able to be a part of that. And, you know, you ended up winning the event. And that had ties where it was, I saw a tweet where it was like your first national championship, her last, and then her first national championship was like your mom's last. And so it's like just a long line, like along, you know, with everything. You know, what was it like to be to race, you know, against one of the legends in our sport? Did you guys talk at all after, before? And, you know, what was that kind of, you know, like with, you know, Allison Felix there?
Yeah, she is such a graceful athlete and just a graceful competitor too. I love obviously competing with her because of her legacy and long lineage as well, but also just because of just the person that she is. And she made an effort to just like tap me and like talk to me a little bit. So definitely I appreciate her reaching out, and I think of course she's very phenomenal. And then even in team processing, I we chatted a little bit more, but I also like made an effort to tell her, just like how of course awesome she is for the sport, but I also like told her like, it's great how your daughter, because her daughter was there, like it's so great how your daughter gets to watch you and just see you compete. Because I never got to see my mom compete. My mom retired like before I was born. So I was like, it's just honestly such a blessing that like your daughter gets to see you compete and like just kind of keep the family aspect of track going. So I think she's awesome, and I very much appreciate her and who she is for the sport.
Yeah. I've heard some stories about the team process. Is it as long as people talk about, like when you're doing that? What's that whole thing look like? Because a lot of fans, It's like the meet ends and you go home, but you guys seem to be there for a little while. Like what's that whole thing kind of look like?
Yeah, no, team processing is everything and more that they say it is. It is there. I think it was I might've been there for 3 hours, 2.5. Ooh. 2.5 hours. Like it was pretty long. And then after, so I finished the race at like 2:30. Of course you have, media testing, all those different things that you have to take care of from that side. So that takes a long time. I didn't get out of that for 2 hours roughly. And then I went home, showered, ate, and then boom, turned around. By the time you got your food and everything, like that takes a long time. So now boom, I'm turned around and I have to go to team processing. And that's at 7:00. And I don't think I left team processing till like 9:45, 10.
Dang. Ooh, yeah, is it just like getting your like name, passport type stuff? Or I don't know if your guys are allowed to disclose that. So I want to ask if that's not allowed.
I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, it's basically, you get your uniforms, you prepare travel or whatever other things that you have to prepare, fill out forms. It's just since my first team, I had to fill out fill forms like medical history, all those kind of things. And so, you fill out those forms and, you get your gear, and there's different stations and different things that you have to fill out and, talk about and talk with people too. And like I said, it's my first team. So I think I had a little bit longer than some other people who've been there before, but it's still kind of a long process because also you have to think about how many people made the team. Plus, it's not like it's just team processing for USA Nationals. It's team processing for Team USA at USA Nationals. So that includes NACAC, that includes U20. So we've got all the U20 kids in there. So that's taken a long time, and they have to fill out a lot of forms too. So now the lines are backed up. So I think it's just like a combination of everything together is what makes it so long. The process itself, I think, is pretty simple, but the fact that we have like so many athletes that are trying to do it at once is kind of crazy.
Yeah, you mentioned that you got the uniforms. Have you made any thought of which design or one you were thinking about wearing yet, or is that not a final decision at this point?
So I do have them. I do have them, but I have not I haven't even honestly unpacked them. Like they came in plastic and they came in like a suitcase, and so they're still in that packed really nicely. So I have not really unpacked much. But there's they're a really nice one piece. There's like a nice tank top and bottoms that they have. So there's some really nice uniforms. So I'm really excited to match up whatever pair I decide to match up and go out there and represent USA, but also represent USA in a cool uniform.
There you go. No hints yet. You guys are gonna have to wait till race day to figure out what Talitha's running in.
Yeah,
so.
if I knew, I would tell you. I'm not 100%.
There you go. And so like you said, you're going into your first major championship. There's a lot of really competitive women, especially in the Open 400 this year, nationally and both internationally. So what goes into these next few weeks, as you get ready for your first major, and how do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, I just focus on recovery and just little things, tune-ups, things, practicing, making sure I'm staying intentional in practice, coming into practice with a good mentality and good tenacity too, and just making sure I'm going out there and every day I have a purpose. And then, so I'll be ready for, the day when it comes, because every day I worked hard and, I had intention with it. So, I'm of course really excited to compete. The 400 definitely has a lot of great people and a lot of great competition. So it'll definitely be awesome to compete against those people. And of course, represent USA on my first team is really exciting. And also, like you said, just the little things in practice I have to, maintain and keep working on. So it's pretty exciting. And it got a good 2 weeks headed up until nationals or worlds.
There you go. Yeah, you did that already. Next one. Yeah. Well, Talitha, thank you so much for doing this. It's been awesome chatting with you, learning a little about your story, history of how we got to this point. Where could people go if they wanted to learn a little more about you, whether it's on social media or anything like that?
Okay. You can follow me at Talitha Diggs. It's just my name, no spaces, no dots, no underscores, just Talitha Diggs. And I'm on Twitter as well. I've just started posting more on Twitter. So I think it's Diggs Talitha. But if you type in Talitha Diggs, it might pop up. I don't know. But so definitely I'm pretty active on Instagram, and I like to be interactive and kind of just letting, everyone see my day and kind of just seeing more about me as a person instead of just the athlete. So definitely follow me, and
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Talitha, and thank you for everyone who's been listening. This has been another episode of Track World News. If you want more content, go follow us over on Instagram at Track World News. You can also make sure you leave a subscribe, like, all that stuff. Helps us know you're enjoying the content we got going on here. That's going to do it for us. Have a good one. Peace.